And guys, happy Thursday. We got some Thursday night football coming up later tonight. On this episode, we're going to be diving into a little bit of baseball, not as deep as usual. We're going to go into the Thursday night football game and then touch up on some of the Sunday games. If you guys tuned in earlier in the week, or to give you guys a free bet on the Sunday slate, and that line has continued to move further and further. We'll go back over that. Yesterday, as far as MLB goes, 1-2 day, the Mets was the winner there, plus 142. Nice having a little dog in there. And beat some numbers on the other two sides with Oakland and especially with Philly. Crushed the number, just couldn't pull it out there. So we'll see what we can get back on track with MLB. So far, already one bet out for members in MLB today, and 3 NFL bets out for Sunday. Likely going to be one in the Thursday night football game. If you guys want all those NFL reads, sign up on the app or the website. John, how we doing today? It's getting to that busy part of the week.
Yeah, it would have been better if Philly would have come through for us, but that's what happens. Just want to go touch on yet last night's games a little bit. We use the expression a lot, right side, wrong result. And then, we take a little stuff from the newbies. They're like, well, how could you say it was the right side? They lost. They got 4-1. They never had a chance against straight. It was the right side. So we took $1.60 in the morning, and that game went down to as low as plus 145. We buried the number. That was the site that the sharps were on. If I get you guys on the sharp side at the number before the sharps take it, my job is done. The teams have got to win a game. We took a shot with the Phillies in that spot. The first 3 games of the series, Braves won 2 of them, both in extra innings. That was a tough-fought series. Strider, we talked about it. Okay, so read the previews. If you're how to beat the Bookie member, and if you're not, you should be. Read the previews we put up on every game. And as I explained, Strider, when he's on, he's lights out, and we caught him in that lights out. That is shot in the first inning, walked 2 of the first 3 batters, and that's when you got to get most great pitches. You got to get them early before they settle into that groove. He settled into it, but Strider, before last night, last 6 outings, just 3 quality starts. So plus 160 at home with a Philly team that fighting with the Braves the entire series. Tough one-run games worth plus 160 at home. Again, not only because I said it, because every sharp guy in the world was on the Phillies plus 160. The Met game, we went against the sharp guys in that one. All Arizona money on that one, as Mets, a team that's out of the playoffs, going up against the Diamondbacks, who are in the wild card hunt with potential Cy Young pitcher. But how does he pitch on the road? Not so good. His last game, great, but that's what made us lean against him. 107 pitches, his first career complete game shutout. He'd only gone more than 107 pitches one time this year. What happened to him the next time out? Gets banged out at Detroit. Detroit to 28th as far as runs scored, 28th in the league. So didn't follow up his last big pitch count with a good game. Not so good on the road. And the Mets have absolutely owned the Diamondbacks. I believe it's 20 and 6 over the last 26 meetings, and even better, 10 or 11 or 11 of 13 now of the last 13 in Citi Field. So these are reasons we bet the games. Read the previews. Don't DM me on Instagram. Why'd you make this bet? Why'd you make it? We make every bet because we have an edge. Those were our 2 edges in those games. Right side, wrong result in one, and then going against the sharp guys. To me, that's a double win. Stick it in their ass a little bit and take away that win with the Mets. It's getting to that time of year. A couple of guys also complained, only 1 bet, only 2 bets, guys. I believe it was Friday night. We had 8 bets in MLB. 8 bets. NFL opening week, 8 bets. That's not the norm. So when the days come, it's only 1 or 2 or 3 bets. That's what it is. It's we bet when there's an edge. I just explained the 2 edges. I saw in the 2 baseball games yesterday. When we see an edge on a football game, as we did with the Jets total. We talked about as soon as that game came out, we couldn't get down quick enough. The total just plummeted right down. We give it out at plus 40.5, now down to 38. You're gonna have these are 2 of the top defensive teams in football. You're gonna have Wilson, who obviously wasn't supposed to be the quarterback, playing on a short week. Do you think the game plan is going to be let's get in a shootout with the Cowboys or let's go real conservative? So this was a no-brainer to go under. Now, could the game go over? Obviously it could, but we've already buried the number. That's what you're going to get from how to beat the bookie. Or you can go to the other guys that think they know what actually, they don't think they know what they know. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're just trying to make you believe they know what they're talking about. So anyway, let's get started with some baseball, and we can get to football, Ben.
Yes, we can. As far as some of those games with an edge we discussed yesterday, as far as those NFL lines, the Cowboys total, like John said, moved 2.5 points. One of the sides we're on starting to move to that 2-point range, and the other total, the other bet moving as well. All these numbers gaining an edge as the week goes on. Like I said, as the week goes, those numbers moving. Sign up before they get gone. We talk a little bit about this baseball slate, and then we're going to go into this Thursday night football game, Vikings, Eagles, and we'll touch in on some of these Sunday games coming up in the NFL as well. But it's really quick. We'll start with baseball. Skip the early game. Marlins at Brewers. Marlins get it done yesterday. Again.
So you guys know, just the early games, that national game, just too early. Well, hold up 1 second. Getting a lineup in as we see it. So again, no Yelich again. He'll miss again yet another game for the Brewers today. We're on the Nationals. We're at the small bet. Just we won't get this up on YouTube till about 1 o'clock. That's a 12:35 start. Small bet on this one. Just figured Gray gets something back after an awful August. They gave him a little extra rest. He's always been good on the road. This is just too big of a number for a Pirates team at home. I just told Penn we're having a conversation. Pirates haven't finished above 500 since 2018. They're 2 games under. And again, Nationals, they've got us money all year long, getting it done on the road. And Gray is actually money on the road before this little bad run. So hoping these few extra days off, get that arm right. Just worth the price. Here was a small bet, 1-unit bet. So that's the one game we won't go down. But go ahead, Ben. Run it from there.
Yep, Marlins at Brewers. Going to be Perez versus Hauser. Miami just not scoring. They pull it out yesterday, though. 2-0 win. Get it done with the pitching. They're going to need something similar here from Perez. 3.86 and 6 outings since being recalled up. Last 5 runs, 4 homers, and 9 2/3 is a bit worse on the road. And you have Hauser also coming back from the IL. First start since August 27th. Went 5.01 ERA in August. 2 starts versus the Marlins in 21 and a 3.86 ERA. Pitching edge, I'm going to give here Stills to Perez. Not quite as drastic, just with his road numbers. Hasn't quite been as dominant as he was before his being sent down and bringing Bob back up. Marlins are nobody in this game, just tough. No one's hitting here with Miami. Might be better off looking at the under, but definitely don't want any part of Hauser here and first start back off the IL.
Yeah, me and Ben talked about this literally the day that the Marlins did it. When they were sending down Perez, the kid was pitching dominant baseball, got absolutely crushed by the Atlanta Braves at Atlanta. This is the best hitting team in baseball, destroying home run records. So he gets smashed that day, and then they want to send him down to save his pitch count. Well, guess what? It hasn't been the same. You have a little flash of a game here. Can't go deep into the games, and as Ben gave you, now 0-1, 3.86 and 6 starts since being recalled. Hasn't been great on the road the whole year. 2-3 with a 4.17. Hitting, not hitting at all. Marlins get 2 runs yesterday. Blank before that. They 3 runs in this series, but a total of 16 hits in the first 3 games, scoring just 2.41 runs per game. The last 7 games just can't back them with Perez on the mound. Think that name of Perez is giving them a little extra. But if Yelich was in, I was looking to bet Milwaukee as a home dog. That's not the case. Yelich is out. I'll stay off this one.
And we have the D-backs at the Mets. This is just a pitching matchup of the card here. Kelly versus Senga. Kelly last 2 starts, 2 runs, 12 innings versus the Cubbies and the Rockies. Senga, 6 straight quality starts, 2.56 ERA. Had a terrific start versus the D-backs earlier this year. 1 run, 8 innings, 12 Ks, 1 walk. Senga really good at home. Going to give him a slight pitching edge here. But like I said, best pitching matchup on the card. Pick your poison there. Mets, a lot of success in this matchup. Beat them up yesterday. Lead the series 2-1, 5-6 meetings this season. D-backs 4-3 on the trip here. This would be ever so slightly Arizona or nothing in this one. Just a pitching edge. Is very small there for the Mets. You have the ownership there for the Mets. Just think getting Kelly at this price is worth the take here. We'll see what we get out of Kelly in this spot. They do go back for the Cubs. Very big series there as far as the wild card race.
Yeah, I see what Ben sees with getting Kelly at this price, but Hank has been as good or better, especially at home in Citi Field, holding teams to a $186 batting average. Not to mention, I mean, the Mets just own this matchup. Right now, they've won 21 of the last 27 meetings and 15 of the last 18 at Citi Field. Arizona, man, they left their bats back at home. They usually hit better on the road. That's starting to even out as things usually do over 162 games. So right now you got Diamondbacks just scoring just 3 runs per game through 7 games of this trip, not getting it done with the bats. I think the price is right, even though Arizona's looking for it. Mets have the domination. I give the little bit of a pitching edge only because Seng is pitching at home. So I'll stay off this one.
Then we have Giants at Colorado, Webb versus Anderson. Webb gets a massive pitching mismatch here, but obviously that gets shrunken down a little bit, pitching in Coors Field. Good numbers versus the Rockies this year, though. 3 starts, 2-0, 1.77 ERA. Anderson roughed up his last time out, a little bit roughed up by the Giants earlier this year. Giants team is not getting it done on the road, so that's the tough thing in this situation. It's ownership in the series meetings. They beat up on Rockies this season, beat up on Rockies last year, 16 of last 17 meetings, 18 of 19 this, or 8 of 9 this season. So they definitely have an ownership matchup. Webb definitely gets the pitching edge. Ridiculous price. Colorado are nothing, an enticing home dog, but tough to pull the trigger here. Only thing that's really making it enticing is when you look at that Giants road record.
I mean, that is one hell of an ugly road record. 4-20 their last 24 road games. And that alone should say, how can you not take a 2-1 dog? But they have just absolutely owned the Rockies. They come off the deck yesterday, dead. They look like a dead team, down 5-1 in the matinee. Come back, tie it up, win it in extras. They just look like they're building momentum to win this to get into this playoff hunt. So this is a game that they need. So you get your ace out there. He had a rough start in Colorado earlier this year at Coors, as most people do. 2 times last year, pitched well, and pitched well his other 2 times. The price, the value is with the Rockies. It's just, can you pull the trigger on the out-and-out domination, losing 16 of your last 17 meetings? If a guy beats me up 16 out of 17 times, I don't even want to fight him again.
Not at all. We'll touch on these 2 more AL matchups, just big playoff indications here. Rangers at Toronto, Eovaldi versus Gausman. Eovaldi, since returning from the IL, just 3.2 innings, 3 2/3, not going far in these 2 games. 1 against Oakland, 1 against Houston. Gave up 4 runs off 8 hits there. In his time with Boston, Toronto last year had some success against him, 12 runs and 14 1/3. And then you have Gausman going, coming off a quality start, 10 Ks, 1 walk, 1 run in 8 innings against Kansas City. Prior to that, was a little bit roughed up. Did have a quality start versus the Rangers earlier this year. Gausman gets the pitching edge here. Eovaldi just not looking the same. Texas, though, starting to wake up a little bit, maybe trying to make a late run here. They're going to have a tough back end of the season getting Houston and Seattle there. We'll see what happens there. This is all the playoff indications for it. The dog is enticing. Just what Eovaldi are we going to get? I don't think he's fully back yet. Doesn't look like he's going to make that jump. And now with the Scherzer news, Rangers going to have to be even more cautious with Eovaldi and everybody else. So what are you going to get out of him today? That's the big question mark on this. Don't see him going farther than 4-5 innings tops. This is slight lean here to the Rangers, but I can't get behind Eovaldi.
Yeah, no, I can't. Exactly what you said, but Texas, man, what a turnaround. A week ago, this team was dead. You wanted to take their pulse, just turn it around like that. Get their chicken soup with the Oakland A's. After dropping the first one, they win the last 2. Now they go into into Toronto and win the first 3 after winning 10-0 last night. They've won the first 3 by a combined 26-7. So right now, right back in it. Just a game behind Houston in the West, and actually in the 2 spot right now as far as a wild card. Guzman's got to come up with a monster game for Toronto. Started the series, Toronto was sitting as a wild card spot. Now they're out of it. Big game for them. They lost 3 straight at home after winning their first 3, I told you, Toronto had the benefit of a beautiful schedule. Going out to Colorado, out to Oakland, and then home for KC. They went 8-2. That jumped them up to the wild card. They did all that with Bichette and Chapman on the IL. Chapman's still on the IL. Bichette comes back. Big game for them. They've got to get to Texas, and what you figure a long day in the bullpen once you get Eovaldi out of there. Big number. The number says bet Texas, but as Ben said, can't back a guy that's only going to be around for around 4 innings.
Yeah, both these teams, as far as wild card race, have very interesting schedules down the stretch. Texas still has 7 games with Seattle, who's right behind them in that third wild card spot. Half game behind them there is also in the division. And then Toronto, after this series, they just play the AL East. They get Boston, Yankees, Tampa, Yankees, Tampa. So for Toronto, 2 series with the Rays. They might luck out that last one in Tampa Bay, sitting some guys. We'll see how it pans out, but going to be fascinating. And speaking of AL East race, that's what we got next here. Rays at Baltimore. This game has all those implications for it. Tampa Bay right now, 2-game back of the O's. This is the Orioles' last chance to really pull away, and maybe it'll take a breath during the last stretch of the season. Maybe it'll rest some guys. And Tampa Bay, this is your chance to really catch them. You have Savali versus Bradish. Bradish been terrific. Last 7 starts, they've won all 7, 5-0, 2.38 ERA. Last time out, 2 runs in 6 innings. And 2 starts versus Tampa Bay this year. One of them a quality start, 3.27 ERA. And Savali just hasn't been the same since coming over, 4.29 ERA. Been better on the road all season long, 2.03 ERA, but some of that is just a bit from earlier this season. Last 2 times out, 7 runs, 10 1/3, 15 Ks, 6 walks. Bradish definitely gets the pitching edge here, but for a team who's 2 games back out of the division lead, this is a really big game to start this series. Big 4-game series. This is Tampa Bay or nothing for me. Getting dog price and to match up with 2 of the better teams in baseball, and you're getting a dog price with one of them. Yes, Savali hasn't been terrific, but he's not necessarily your 5th guy in the rotation. With all of Tampa Bay's pitching issues, I mean, after Glasnow, Savali is pretty much as good as it gets. Would be Rays or nothing here in this spot.
So at this point, you're seeing why Cleveland let Savali go. He wasn't as good as his numbers. He was pitching really good at Cleveland. That was a buy, sell high moment, and they did. Since going over now, that's 7 starts with the Rays, 1 quality start and 7 starts. Bradish is becoming the ace of that staff. He's becoming the man. Huge pitching advantage here. I'm not saying big. I'm saying it's huge. Tampa, they just keep winning. This is a winning franchise. What adversity this year. So you lose potentially AL Cy Young McClanahan. You'd already lost Rasmussen in Springs. Then Juan DeFranco has his issues. Well, they're 19-9 since Juan DeFranco, arguably the best player on your team. They just keep moving along. Now they come into Baltimore. They're the team that's been there. So I'm going to give them that edge. They've been there before. Baltimore, kind of the new kid on the block now. They got the 2-game lead. They got their ace on their mound. They're home. They stayed at home last night. This was a look ahead. The last couple of games, they did nothing against St. Louis. Totally look ahead. This is what we talk about look ahead, guys. I just couldn't pull the trigger yesterday as St. Louis sat everybody. Arenado, Contreras, Gorman went on the IL. They just couldn't pull the trigger there, but this was a total look ahead yesterday for Baltimore. They'll be ready today with their ace on the mound. But the price is the right price. 130 is when I made the line. That's what the line is now. This will be a good game to watch.
And that's what we're going to stay on touching there, MLB-wise, guys. There's a doubleheader there. The Yankees game going to be an early game there. But let's get into some NFL talk now. That's why a lot of you guys are tuning in. Thursday Night Football. We have some games coming up for Sunday. If you guys want the rest of the breakdowns for the MLB action, sign up on the app or the website. Preview on each and every game, whether there's a bet on it or not. Thursday night game, we have Vikings at Eagles. Obviously, anytime Kirk Cousins on prime time, everyone hears about, Kirk Cousins prime time, the struggles. 12-20 in his career, 4-12 on the road, straight up as far as primetime success. And the Eagles here just dominant at home last season, 9-2 straight up, 8-3 against the spread. We'll see how much that carries over. That includes some playoff games there. Eagles, they go on the road to New England. They get out to a hot start, force a couple of turnovers, 16-zip lead. Next thing you know, that Pats defense hold them down. Pats offense played a better game. They were outgained 382 yards to 251. Didn't have any touchdowns after the 2 early turnovers that put them in good field position. So they got outplayed for 3 of the 4 quarters in that game against the Patriots. Just that really two quick turnovers that jumped out 16-0 early, put them up ahead there. And we'll see what carries over into this matchup. This Vikings team, obviously, they lost to Tampa Bay. A lot of turnovers. And that's really what it comes down to. There's a lot of injuries in this game, but you're looking at an Eagles team with a pass rush and they forced turnovers as good as any. We see what they did against New England. Now against a Kirk Cousins team with a little bit of a banged-up offensive line. Struggles in prime time already. The struggles with the turnovers we saw against the Bucs. How much of that's going to carry over now against one of the better home edge teams in football with a great D-line who forces turnovers, great defense. It's going to be an edge to me here to Philly. Below a touchdown, could only be interested in the Eagles. And as far as the total here, looking at it, only gone one direction. Last year's meeting was low scoring, and this is a tough game to get a read on with the total just because of so many injuries. What's going to be the effect there? A lot of defensive injuries for the Eagles, a lot of offensive injuries here for the Vikings. Who's that going to affect worse? Would be a slightest leans to the under there just because of last year's meeting low scoring, both their first 2 games this year low scoring. But again, a lot of injuries. Tough to get a read on that.
Yep, you got a couple of offensive linemen for the Vikings. Bradbury is already out. The center, they've already ruled him out. But Darisaw, he's questionable. For Philly, Philly got beat up in that New England game. So they lost cornerback Bradbury, the linebacker Dean, safety Blankenship, and leading running back Gainwell played really good. So a lot of injuries both sides. As Ben said, this line went open from 7.5 Eagles down to 6. Look, I've got Eagles up there as one of the best teams, but they definitely just took a hit on defense. Total in this one up from 48.5 to 49.5. Vikings did not look good week 1. That's all. They got a home game against Tampa Bay Bucs with a new quarterback in Baker Mayfield, not a rookie quarterback, a veteran, but with a new team coming in there. And he was able to throw 2 touchdowns without any turnovers on them. The last game of last year, an ugly playoff loss to a Giant team who we saw how good that Giant team was Monday night. So this Viking team, they're lucky if they're a 500 team. Eagles are in the upper echelons, but they got beat up a little bit. I think the numbers where it calls for. I wouldn't be laying anything. This game has one of those backdoor jobs written all over it. Just how many points they're going to score. We'll be looking for the official injury report. I've got no bet on this one yet.
And then we can talk about some of the Sunday slate coming up, guys, for week 2. 4 bets out already, 2 sides, 2 totals. We're not going to go into any of those.
Falcons first, just because I'm watching that one, and we took 2 on this yesterday. The Falcons now are going to 1 and 1.5. And again, guys, I just want to show you, this is the benefit of being How to Beat the Bookie member. I mean, you can go listen to Vegas Dave or any of these other guys that think they're a handicapper, and you ain't getting any information. If you're not beating the line, if your capper is not beating the line for you, he's not doing anything for you. It's all beat the line, beat the game, and that's as simple as it gets. So if you want to touch on that one first.
Yeah, we can. It's Atlanta team at home. They go against Carolina. They look good. The run game there, very good. There's Patterson, another running back. I mean, they have the deepest backs in the league between Patterson, Robinson, and Algier, as good as it gets. Then you have this Green Bay team who looked really good, but granted, against a Bears team they absolutely own. What are they going to look like now here in week 2? How's it going to look on Love here? And that short-term adjustment, it's a lot different when you have months to prepare for a matchup compared to 1 week to turn things around. Obviously, game film and everything else like that. Injuries to Jones and Watson and Walker. So Green Bay's banged up, going on the road for the 2nd straight week. Falcons looking good, primarily healthy, staying home for the 2nd straight week. Everything lines up there for this Falcons team.
Yeah, one of the big things we look about is this will be Packers' 2nd week in a row on the road and Falcons' 2nd week in a row at home. Big advantage. It don't sound like much, but it's a big advantage. Ritter, now he started the final 4 games of the year last year, winning the last 2, wins the opener here, playing good football, just getting them right to the right spot. Biggest thing about this game was Aaron Jones. Jones was the best player on the field in the Bear-Packer game Sunday. Hammy, boom, missed practice yesterday, and the line move right now is telling me that he's not on the field today. Remember, we're shooting this podcast right now. It's 11:45 Eastern time, so they're already out there practicing. By the way this line is moving, tells me you'll see later today that he did not practice today. So if they're without their best running back, their best playmaker, you got I'm going to call him a rookie quarterback. Yes, it's his third year in, but this is his first year as a starter, Love. And he's got to go do it on the road for the second week in a row without Jones, and possibly doing it still again without Watson, the wide receiver who missed the first week. I like the Falcons here. We gave it out +2 yesterday. And as I said, as of right now, moving to all Atlanta 1 or 1.5.
We can talk about maybe the grossest game on the card that's next on this slate. Colts at Houston. Colts, you have Richardson. He looked pretty good in his first game, but he has the knee issue. Apparently, he's going to be good to go. We'll see how much it affects him. And he led them in rushing yards, and they didn't have much without Taylor, without Moss. They don't have much going on in the ground game right now. Moss is still questionable. We'll see if he returns. And then you have this Houston team with just some safety issues there with Ward and Petrie. Mechie, good little Bama wide receiver. He's coming off an injury. We'll see what goes on with him there. This is two teams a little bit banged up, young quarterbacks, both rookie quarterbacks. Going to be a sloppy game. You have to imagine as far as last season's meetings. Yeah, but Houston, let's get this out. Houston didn't win a game at home last year, 0-7-1 straight up at home. So we'll see what we get out of them. A lot of question marks in this game, young quarterbacks, a lot of under trends in the matchup. And then what are we going to get here? This is a slight lean to Houston on this game, but like I said, grossest game on the card. What are you going to get out from everybody? How bad is the knee issue going to be for Richardson in week 2? A lot of question marks here. I'm just staying away from this one.
Well, they had him listed probable. Actually, they didn't have him even on the injury report yesterday, which makes him probable. But this line has just gone back to pick him. So Houston opened up 1.5 on the early overnight line early in the week. Colts went to a 1.5 favorite when it looked like Johnson was going to be okay to quarterback. And now, literally, since we've been doing the podcast, this game has gone back to pick him. 2 rookie quarterbacks. If Johnson's in, if not, Minishaw's his backup. We'll see how it goes. Moss did practice yesterday in a limited fashion. We'll have to see more about him. Got to remember, Moss, is he really a running back? No. Big running back? No. But when you have no Taylor already starting the year on the physically unable to perform list, Moss was big because their running game did absolutely nothing. And they lost another running back last week, the kid Hull. Got to see where all the injuries are. Houston's a little bit banged up in the secondary. Safeties Ward and Petrie, both questionable. So we'll see where that all breaks down. Lions at a pick 'em right now. As of right now, I don't have no bet on this one.
Seattle at Detroit. The last 2 meetings of these two teams averaged 86.5 points. Absolute shootouts both times. Going to be hard not to look back at that in this one. Granted, though, both these teams' first games in week 1 did go under. So we'll see what kind of a matchup we get out of this. Seattle looked a bit brutal there against the Rams. That Rams pass rush caused a lot of problems. They didn't get anything going offensively, just 180 total yards. Lions, that looked really good there against Kansas City. Can you say letdown spot, though, going and beating the Super Bowl champs? So what are we going to get out of these two teams? How's it going to look? A lot of points in previous matchups here. I don't make the number this high for Detroit. I was not fond of what I saw with Seattle last week. Would be like slightly into the dog here and could only play the total in this at the over. I mean, 86.5 points per game last 2 meetings. I know the last 2 went under, but there's got to be a look here at the over.
Yeah, I've got to do my homework and see the last time Detroit was as high as a 6-point favorite, but that's as high as they hit. They hit 6 points. This game is just shot down this morning to 4.5. Now, the word was they lost both their tackles, Seattle did, right after halftime in the early part of the third quarter. After losing their 2 tackles, offensive tackles, they did not score again. We like that. We had the Rams, an outright one of our outright winners. So 2 tackles. Lucas is definitely out. Cross is 99% out. So I want to see what they're betting on this game. But this game is back up. Now, could be betting on just what Ben said. This is the ultimate letdown spot. Guys, we talk about letdowns. Look ahead. Here's your letdown. Week 1, after finishing last season, I believe it was 8-2 to finish the season, 9-1 against the spread, just missing the playoffs, beating Green Bay in the last game, your division rival, to keep them from making the playoffs. Sky high are the predictions. Supposed to take the division, go into KC, beat the defending world champs, and now you got to come home and play Seattle. So this is what we call a letdown spot. Well, I would say here, I just throwing this statistic up. Goff just getting it done. Do you think the Rams would like to give back on that Stafford for Goff trade right now with the problem Stafford's had? Goff, 253 yards with a touchdown. He has not thrown a pick now 359 consecutive passes. That's what I call taking care of the ball. Win the turnover battle, win the game. 4.5. We're right in the middle with this game, 5.5. So we'll look what the injuries are and where the line moves later in the week.
And we have Bears at Bucks. This is a spot I'm really looking at with Tampa Bay here. You have this Bears team coming off the loss to Green Bay. You have the Bucks coming off the big road win there. Maybe you could say a little bit of a letdown here for Tampa Bay coming back home now after getting that road win. This is just, I think, style of play. This is as good of a matchup as you're going to get for Tampa Bay. Chicago, obviously a team with a weak passing offense. They love to run the football. That is Buck's specialty. And I know Minnesota's not a rushing team by any means, but held them to 41 rushing yards. Tampa Bay last couple of years been up there as top 5 as far as rushing yards allowed. And their defense looks back to what they look like on the Super Bowl run. And that's just one game, so don't want to overreact. But the defense looks back. And on that Super Bowl run that year, they faced this Bears team, crushed them 38-3. They forced 5 turnovers. Granted, Fields was still a rookie, but just as far as matchup defensively, this is a team that Tampa Bay can shut down just by play styles. This is Bucks or nothing all the way on this one to me. We'll see if you can get that at 2.5, especially. Don't love laying that flat 3 at a field goal price, but still, I just not a big believer in the Bears. There was a lot of hype coming on them preseason. Tampa Bay, a lot of question marks offensively. The wide receiver issues. Baker Mayfield can't do it. I don't question that defense, though. It's just one of the top defenses in football still.
Look, I'm even higher on the Bucks than Ben. I give them a shot to take this division. I love what I saw out of Baker Mayfield week 1 with this team. They keep talking about wide receivers. Evans and Godwin are a couple of decent wide receivers. And just as he said, this is a solid defense. You want to run the ball, there's a guy named Vita Vea. The line, you're going to have to get past him anyway. I've got Tampa Bay rated a little higher than most prognosticators have them, or most computer rankings have them. I've got the Bears lower. And I said this going into last week. Everybody said, oh, Bears going to improve. Well, they had to improve somewhat. They won 3 games last year. So even if they improve and Tampa Bay's not as good with Baker Mayfield as they were with Brady last year, they're still a 4 or more point favorite. If this game was to go to a flat 2.5, Tampa Bay and nobody, it's sitting at 2.5 and favorite money now.
And we'll touch on 2 more games here, guys. A couple of playoff revenge games here. Chiefs at Jaguars, Ravens at Bengals. Pretty big games there as far as the matchups and everything else. You have Kansas City with Kelsey, who's starting to be looking more so. He's like going to be probable, still questionable, but looking like he's returning. I don't know if you guys seen the memes going around about how Kelsey and Rendon have had the same kind of knee injury, and Rendon's been out for 3 months, and Kelsey's going to play 10 days later. But that's what we have going on there. Jones ends the holdout. So KC getting some of the big pieces back in here for week 2. And then you have this Jaguars team who's Calvin Ridley looked terrific there against Indy. First game back, didn't look like he missed a year.
Follow, by the way.
Yes, one of our guys right there, Calvin Ridley. And then you have Jags defense looked okay, all considered against Indy there. Playoff revenge factor. Chiefs win last year. They win in the regular season as well. What are you going to get here? And then what's that Patrick Mahomes stat? 13-3 after a loss. Obviously, the best team in football over the last 5 years. They don't lose 2-3 in a row often. So tough to go against KC here. Tough to go against Jacksonville. The playoff revenge looked really good there in week 1. It's just a really tough game. As a football fan, best game of the week, and the odds makers came with a really good line here.
Yeah. Week 1, you saw just how much Mahomes missed Kelsey. That's your go-to guy. Balls bouncing off receivers' hands for pick 6. I mean, just it'll be big to have Kelsey in if he plays. How up to speed will he be? How bad was any injury? All this we have to find out. Normally, here's a game we're looking at. They met twice last year. Chiefs got them both times. KC also got them in the playoffs. You got a little playoff revenge. And now Jacksonville gets them at home. But you're giving Andy Reid extra time. Remember, they played on a Thursday, coming off a loss. Just too much. That nullifies any playoff revenge. My number on this game is a dead 3, and that's saying Kelsey's not at 100%. So this is a game. This is for spectators only, entertainment only. Not going to find an edge on this game unless something else happens. Kelsey's out. Maybe you touch it a tinge under the 3. Still don't think it's worth bucking the trend. As we said, Chiefs 13-3, winning by an average of 12 points a game, coming off a loss since 2018.
Yeah, this is one of those games. Whoever goes up early, if you can get Chiefs plus 3.5, or if Chiefs go up early, you can get Jags plus 7.5. We'll be looking at a live lines there to key numbers. Then Ravens at Cincinnati. Ravens looked okay week 1. I mean, you had the injuries issues there. Lamar Jackson comes back, looks okay, didn't look quite himself. Then you have a bunch of injuries. Dobbins, Stanley, Andrews, what's going on there, Williams. So a lot of question marks for the Ravens heading into this one. And obviously, Bengals looked brutal offensively. Joe Burrow didn't look good. He was held to 82 yards. The offense as a whole was struggling. Really good at home last year, 7-1 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. And again, another playoff revenge factor here. Bengals have won 4 of the last 5 meetings. Then you have they beat them last year in the playoffs without Lamar Jackson. Huntley goes and fumbles it on the 1. They don't fumble that, and we're looking at a different team winning that football game. So definitely a game Ravens probably had circled here, looking on into that matchup at Houston. Looked right past it. Cincinnati looked brutal week 1. They don't want to go on 0-2 on the season. Really tough divisional game here. We'll see what we get. Could also be a look at the under a little bit. Pretty low-scoring games last year. Granted, no Lamar Jackson in 2 of them.
Right. The only one that Jackson played was at Baltimore, and that was what I expect this week. A tough divisional battle. Baltimore won that one 19-17. They were at home. I believe they kick a field goal at the end of the game to win it. Expect this to be another field goal game. Yeah, Baltimore definitely got banged up. Both quarterbacks way underperformed. Burrow even more so. But remember, Jackson missed, I guess it was the last 5 regular season games and the playoff game last year. Burrow missed basically all the preseason due to that injury that he had. So both guys getting their feet wet should be a little better. Can Baltimore get it done without 2 offensive linemen? They lose the center, Linderbaum, and the tackle, Stanley. Those are 2 big guys. They also lose Dobbins, the running back. Again, both quarterbacks should pick it up. Divisional battle should be a tough one. Good one to watch.
That is the little bit of insight into the Sunday slate, a little bit of insight into the MLB going on today, guys. If you guys want all the information, a lot of games coming up this weekend. You guys know where to sign up. 1 bet out for Monday, 3 out for Sunday as far as football is concerned. Likely 1 coming tonight in Thursday Night Football. Watching some lines and some reports coming out today. We'll have a bet out there for how to beat the Bookie members, and those will continue to get added throughout the weekend. We got questions in the chat, and I know John addressed this earlier already about, when we place a bet, whenever it is, we bet the line when we can get the best number on the right side. That's all it is. So when that line or number opens up, sometimes it can be right when the lines come out when you have an injury like Rodgers. Sometimes it can be an hour before kickoff, depending on what the line's moving. Always looking, always watching. If you guys want that, go sign up on the app or the website. John, I don't know if you have anything else here. Hopefully we can have a nice little Thursday here.
Yeah, this is the time of year, guys. If you remember, you're going to want to have the VIP. We can't put all the previews up Monday morning for the entire week. So we have Thursday's game up. Well, once the Monday Night Football game goes, then we get the rest of the weekend up. But we're betting literally Monday morning for the following week. So Tuesday morning, no Aaron Rodgers. We'll see the defensive game. We know the total is off. You're going to have 2 of the top defensive teams play. Boom, we go under 40.5. And that game's now 38. Again, we won't be posting our Sunday games until after halftime of tonight's game. So you're going to be missing 2 points there. Already missing 3 or 3.5 points, call it, on the Falcon game. Once NBA comes, we even destroy the line more. Guys, not a sales pitch here. If you remember, And you should be. If you want the best info, the best sports betting info you're going to find anywhere, especially NFL and NBA, this is the place to be. You want to be a VIP member. It'll pay for itself in one bet.
Yes, it will. So make sure you guys go check that out. App or website, sign up there. Let's have a weekend. A lot of bets out already. Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.